Hi guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up Google Ads offline conversion tracking for your Shopify store. And I'll be covering how to set it up with contact forms and also call tracking. So stick around to the end because I'll show you a special way on how to do that. I'm Tim from Launchpresso Digital Marketing, where we focus on paid traffic for Shopify stores. Depending on your business, you may be getting a lot of customers reaching out to you via your contact form or making calls, and you're having to process a manual order. And many of these transactions could be initially coming through as a lead through your Google Ads and then converting offline. Now, it's important to close that loop on your Google Ads campaigns and let Google know that lead has actually turned into a customer and made a transaction. So let me take you over to my screen now and show you how to set that up. Okay, so here we are in one of my clients' accounts who we set this up for a while ago for Shopify contact form as well as for calls. The very first thing that you need to do in your Google Ads account is set up the offline conversion event. So come to Tools and Settings, come to Conversions. Next, you need to click New Conversion Action, select Import, and I will zoom on that so you can see it a little clearer. You can see here it says Offline Lead Conversion, and you need to select what we want to import. So we'll select CRM's files and other data sources, and we want to track conversions from clicks, not from calls, because we're focusing on the contact forms at this stage. And you can see here, select Track from clicks to import conversions that were preceded with a click on an ad. Select that radial button and you can select a data source. So if you set up Zapier, you can also use this if you want it to be fully automated. You can select a new data source. You can search that through one of these different sources here, or you can skip this and set it up later. And we'll do this later because we're going to be uploading these later through a Google Sheet manually. And interesting to note, here it says conversions from clicks. So it shows click, CRM, connect, conversion. And you'll need to collect the conversion date and the Google Click ID or GCL ID, or another identifier which includes their phone and email address if you've set up. Now let's select Continue, give it a category name. It's probably best to call it a converted lead and then give it a conversion name. So we usually write LP conversion offline and select Add like this. And then you would click Save and Continue. But before you do, it's really important that we use this conversion name in our Google Sheet as one of the naming conventions and columns before we import these back into Google Ads. Now, as I already have a offline conversion action set up, I won't save that. I'll just leave that there for now. Next, coming over to Shopify, we have to set up a custom contact form in Shopify to be able to capture what we call a Google Click ID. Now, a Google Click ID is a parameter based on a URL with ad clicks. So it's like an auto tagging that is appended to URL. And it generally would look like this for an example. So if you were to take a look here, say www.example, and then it would be gclickid dash, and then a string of numbers and letters after that. So that's the actual ID that we need to be capturing from the form in what we call a hidden field. In the back of Shopify, if we come to the online store, come to Customize, and then we have to find the contact page. So if you can't see it in the drop down, just type in contact and then click on it. This is the contact page within our client store. Shopify usually has their own default contact form within this page. However, we've needed to hide that in order to be able to set up our own custom contact form with the hidden field that we need in order to capture that Google Click ID. Let me show you more. So if I was to unhide this, you'll see that this is the original contact form by Shopify. So we just hide that like so. Then what you need to do is add in a custom liquid block, which we have done here. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky, as you need one of two things. You may need a developer to be able to help you install this code with the hidden field and also to give the form some styling. Now, if you're not good with Google Tag Manager yourself, you might be able to get your developer or a Google Tag Manager expert to help you with a piece of code that you do need to be able to inject the Google Click ID, which I showed you before, into the hidden field that we're about to place into the Shopify contact form. So if we come across to Google Tag Manager, using the example that we set up before, we need to set up a custom HTML tag. So taking a look inside this actual tag itself, we can see that we've added in this special piece of code, which will inject that Google Click ID value into the hidden field. This is a super important step. Otherwise, you won't be able to capture the Google Click ID into your Google Sheet. So it triggers on every page when the window loads, as you can see here. And once you've saved that tag and trigger, the next important step is to submit that in Google Tag Manager like so. You may want to add a version name and a detailed description, and then you would click Publish. But as we've already set this up, no need to set Publish today. If you come to this page here in the Shopify documentation, how to add a contact form to your theme. You need to copy this example form right here. You can just copy it like so. And this will give you all the fields that you need for your form. Now, there's a few here that you may not need. You may not need their phone number, for example. You may not need their order number. You may want the message and you want the submit button, which is important. So you can delete out any of these div classes here that you don't need to use. You do need to, however, have the email, which is very important because it does state that the required field here, it does say here that the email is required in order for the form to work. If you need to require anything specific like drop downs or radio buttons or checkboxes, you can have your developer modify this unless you know what you're doing here. Once you've copied your example code and had your developer or yourself modify that so it suits the information you want to capture, come back across into your custom and liquid here. To make life a little bit easier, I'm just going to zoom in on that a little bit more. Once you've pasted in your contact form code, there is some additional code that does need to be added into this form. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, as I mentioned before. Now, I just want to let you know, we do provide this as a service. Please feel free to reach out to us in the link below in the description. So a couple of extra pieces of code that do need to be added into the form are the date and time, which are hidden as well. It's important that we send that information over into our Google Sheet as well. So we've got a timestamp on when we send the converted lead amounts and values back into Google Ads. As we scroll down, when we get past the body message, we have our hidden field for capturing our Google Click ID, and then Bob's your uncle. We have our submit button right here, but that's not all. We still have to be able to send this information from Shopify into a Google Sheet. And as we scroll down here, past some of this styling that we've had done from our developer, we come to this piece of script here, where we actually send the information across, as I mentioned, from the contact form into our Google Sheet. And it will only happen upon a successful submission. So upon success, we send leads across to this Google Sheet. As you can see here, we've got timestamp, names, email address, phone numbers, the message, the Google Click ID, and we also get our client to fill in the time of conversion as well as the conversion value. Now, we decided to capture all this information because it gives the client some context as to what the potential lead is looking for in terms of what they're wanting to purchase. And periodically, we come back and take this information from this sheet and add it into our official Google Click ID sheet that we upload into Google Ads. So we copy across the Google Click ID, the conversion name. It's really important that that is exactly the same, as I mentioned before, as the conversion name in Google Ads, which looks a bit like this, the conversion time, the value, and we automatically put in the conversion currency of USD in this situation. If you like, you can set up Zapier to be able to send the information automatically from this sheet into this sheet. Now, this is an additional charge for this service. If you're getting a lot of these offline conversion leads come through that are converting and you want to automate all this to be imported into Google Ads, this is the tool for you. And once you're logged into Zapier, you can just count up for yourself. From there, you can set up your Zap. You click create, and then from here, you would go about setting this up. Interesting to see that they've got AI built into the back of Zapier now. Now, you can use this AI functionality, or you can just come straight down to triggers. I'd rather just start with triggers at the moment because we want to just do a Google Sheet. And then you would choose your event. I would say when there's a particular cell or something like this, when it's been new or updated, and you can go through and add in the specifics around this too. And then again, the action that you want to do is you want to create a new row in your spreadsheet. And then you would go about continuing through that and working through that and sign it in and connect all your sheets together and whatnot and send the information specifically from each row and column into your sheets. And the important part when setting up this app is when this conversion value has been entered, you want to make that your trigger within Zapier. Now, if you'd like a full tutorial on actually how to set up Zapier properly for your offline conversion tracking, just leave a comment in below and I'll be more than happy to put that together for you. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to carry on this video. As this client only gets a few converted leads offline, we only upload this about every 1 or 2 months. One thing to note that the conversion time cells here are actually formatted to be plain text, because what will end up happening is these dates will convert over automatically to whatever Google Sheets has been set up to in terms of date and time. Now, the next step is uploading the file into Google Ads. So coming back to tools and settings in your Google Ads dashboard, come under measurement and conversions. And as we scroll down, as you remember, we have our converted lead action here. So we come to uploads, and then you click the blue plus button for new upload. Take a source, be a Google Sheet, Now you do need to share your Google Sheet with this account here. So you would take that and you would come to your Google Sheet, hit share, and then you would add it in like so, which we've already done. So you would link your existing sheet. Now, if you're wanting an exact copy of this Google Sheet here, which is the official version, you can come into your Google Ads account and actually find it under View Templates here. And you will get the conversions from Clicks Sheet here. There's also some instructions here on uploading custom variable data if you do have that. If this is the first time you're downloading this template, you can select this Google Sheet and you can simply just make a copy here. If you're making some conversion adjustments using a Google Click ID, you can also select this Google Sheet here. And once you've linked your existing Google Sheet here, you select apply and you see it's uploading from that template. It may take a few minutes to upload that data and you might throw up some errors here. So you can download these errors here and see what's exactly going on. And for our situation, I know what's happening here with our errors because we had a name change on our conversion action. So we have to just match those up. That's pretty much it for setting up your Google Ads offline conversion tracking for your Shopify contact forms. Now for offline conversion tracking for calls, I recommend taking a look at this product here called CallRail. I'll leave a link in the description below. CallRail is a fantastic tool. It automatically integrates into your Google Ads account. You can also use their forms for offline conversion tracking as well. Before their calls, you set up one of their forwarding numbers that they provide you. And then when the calls start coming in, all you need to do is find the contact you would have had to process a manual order through on their behalf. Click inside their timeline. And then under the inbound recorded call, all you need to do is add in the value in this section here. And whatever days you've got this set to import this automatically back into Google Ads. I've got this set for 14 days at this stage because we do have a attribution window of 30 days. I want to make sure that the values are going back into Google Ads periodically, taking consideration when the lead may have called and actually when they processed an order. Generally, that's not straight away because they want to find out and get back and forward with one another in terms of a few calls needing to be exchanged until they actually make the purchase. So in today's video, I've covered how to set up your Google Ads offline conversion tracking using Shopify contact forms, as well as for your calls. As you can see, this is simple as well as complex in some instances. If you need help with any of this, please feel free to get in touch with us in the link in the description down below. Be more than happy to see how we can help you out.